Welcome to the Strategic Aesthetics Beyond the Physique podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Woodyard. Whether your goal is to dominate the stage or reach a healthy body composition, it comes down to a culmination of habits. Here we're going behind the scenes to uncover what these habits look like in real life. What is up, everybody? Thank you for being here. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Physique podcast. Today we're going to be talking about phases of a large fat loss goal. So if you have a lot of body fat to lose, it can seem like a daunting task. And the key to any large goal ultimately is chunking it out. So the first realization that needs to happen is that it's not an overnight process, and you will make mistakes along the way. So get rid of your all or nothing mindset and start working towards improvement. So 1% better every day is 365% better over the year. So this is a long-term goal. There's going to be mistakes that are made. The goal is to learn from them and continue to get better. So the first part of a large fat loss goal is going to be setting the stage. And this is something that I think most people miss. They get right into dieting. They get right into the intense cardio. Maybe they're doing these HIIT workouts, joining group exercise classes. But they're ultimately missing the first part of this major goal. So that is setting the stage. So here we're going to be focusing on eating at a maintenance level, and we're introducing weight training with progressive overload and implementing cardio, as well as getting used to eating a high-protein diet. So the main goals of this phase is to increase your muscle mass, adjust your schedule, and get used to being into the routine. You should also learn how to track your macros, and get into the routine of hitting your total calories and your protein targets. So this is not the time to dive into carbs and fats. It can just be a little bit daunting. So the goal here ultimately is just to be getting that minimum protein with your maximum calories. Now, while you're tracking, this is an opportunity to pair how you feel with foods that you eat. So myself personally, I know that if I eat too many potatoes, then my digestion just doesn't like it. So I'm more of a rice type person. However, I can digest whole wheat bread pretty well as well. So this is all individual, and this is an opportunity to learn about how your body reacts to individual foods. So the main goal here is going to be learning how to track your macros, get into that high protein diet routine, as well as getting into the routine of getting into the gym multiple times a week following a routine that is designed for you and your goals. So the purpose of this phase is twofold. It's physiological and it's also mental. So physiologically speaking, we need more muscle to more efficiently reduce body fat. The more lean tissue we have, the more calories it takes just to live from a day-to-day basis. So if you have more lean tissue, you're inherently going to burn more calories at rest. This is going to make a body fat reduction phase much more easy. So focusing on building that foundation here is the key. Now, mentally speaking, we need to start embracing the routine that needs to happen to reach your goal. So getting into the routine of going to the gym, eating the food that hits your goals, etc. So mentally, we want to focus on the strength increases in the gym. You want to focus on that better sleep that you're going to be getting after implementing the strength training and cardio and diet changes. And then ultimately that better sense of well-being. So this is not the time where we're focusing on getting those washboard abs. We're essentially setting up that stage to where you can do that. Okay, so ultimately you'll know that this phase is done when you are in the routine of hitting your macros, completing your workouts every week, and as well as completing your baseline cardio. Okay, so now we're set up to actually lose body fat. You're in the routine. We have things happening. Momentum is here. We can move into a body fat reduction phase. So the purpose of a body fat reduction phase is just that. The goal here is to reduce body fat. So we're going to start emphasizing pulling body fat by increasing cardio and NEAT. Okay, NEAT is non-exercise activated thermogenesis. This is a real fancy word for just how active you are during the day. So one of my favorite tools for increasing your daily output is increasing your total steps. So we're going to add cardio and we're going to increase your step goal to start emphasizing calories out. We'll also start reducing calories in your diet. So this is mostly going to come from those carbs and the fats, and we're going to continue to leave protein high. When we leave protein high here in a diet, that tells the body that we have enough protein to continue to build and maintain muscle, and we are stimulating muscle protein synthesis consistently with every meal, so we have better chance at staying net protein positive and holding on to that lean tissue while we reduce body fat, because the goal here is to reduce body fat, not reduce total weight. Okay, so there's a big difference here. We want to emphasize losing body fat, not necessarily muscle. Okay, so this phase is going to include titrations in cardio and reductions in food. We'll continue titrating the cardio up and the food down until ultimately we see weight loss resistance. This is the key, and this is something that a lot of people missed. The body is a master of adaptation, so we need to adjust the stimulus to keep your adaptations in our favor. Okay, so if we're noticing body fat becoming more and more difficult to pull, then we can only pull so much food and add so much cardio before things just get ridiculous. And what we want to do here is pull this around. So how we're going to do that is a metabolic phase. Okay, so we started with setting up the stage for that body fat reduction. We got in the routine. Things are happening. Then we moved into that body fat reduction phase. We started pulling calories, started increasing food. We saw a lot of body fat come off, but ultimately it is getting more and more difficult to continue to see more body fat come off. This is something that happens with everyone, including competitors. And the goal here is to now turn this steer the ship around. Okay. So chronic periods of dieting and high amounts of cardio eventually cause adaptations. So you get better at cardio, which means you burn less calories with the same effort that you put in previously, and your thyroid's going to adapt and lower your resting metabolic rate. So metabolic phases are focused on increasing the resting metabolic rate and reducing your cardio efficiency. So food is going to slowly be titrated up while we hold your body composition. So taking a lot of photos here during this phase is really important. So make sure you're not missing your photos with your coach. As we're working food up, we want to make sure that we are not accruing body fat. And ultimately, how fast we can raise calories is an individual basis. So the goal here is to continue to raise calories while you hold your body composition until we're set up into another position to where we can actually pull that body fat. So after we are at a reasonable level, it's time to start another body fat reduction phase. From here, we're going to increase the cardio, we're going to reduce the calories, and we will continue that high protein diet. We're now going to continue alternating between these cutting phases and these metabolic phases until we reach our goal percentage. Now, once we're down to our goal body fat percentage, we're not done. The work is never done. So here we're going to rotate between push phases, holding phases, mini cuts, another holding phase, and a push phase. So anytime you reduce body fat or increase your muscle, you want to implement a holding phase at the end of that phase, basically to solidify those changes. So when you have a large fat loss goal, the biggest mistake I see is people trying to do it all in one swoop when it's best done in phases. So any change to your body, the number one way to success is leaning into the phase that you're in. So you don't want to be adding additional cardio into your metabolic phases, and you don't want to be skipping workouts during your cutting phases. So Ultimately, a long-term fat loss goal comes down to setting the stage, body fat reduction, and metabolic phases. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Physique podcast. If you enjoyed this and would like to hear more like it, be sure to subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram at Trevor W Training, on YouTube at Strategic Aesthetics, on Facebook, Trevor Woodyard, and you can also apply for coaching at strategicaesthetics.com.